Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Topping D70s DAC. And actually this is the MQA version. There are two, first there was a D70, then there was a D70s, and this is the D70s MQA version. And this DAC was loaned to me for review by APOS Audio, and it currently sells through APOS Audio for $649, and I will put a link below the video. Anyway, I usually try to get my first impressions videos out in a couple of days, like 3 days to a week after I receive a unit, and I've actually had this little over 2 weeks, but just been really busy and trying to catch up. So I'm trying to get this video in at about 2 a.m. So anyway, forgive me, I was going to shoot it earlier, but I had a big dinner. I had three 1/3 pound cheeseburgers and fell asleep for a couple hours. So woke up from my nap and I'm going to try to get this video in. And please excuse the noise from the fan behind me, but it was another hot summer day here, and the air conditioning doesn't reach up to my loft where my office is very well. And if I don't run the fan, I'll be sweating pretty bad before this is over, and no one wants to see that. So anyway, this is a digital to analog converter. That's just what this does. It's primarily its purpose. It does not have a built-in amp. Did want to mention it comes in either black or silver. You have the options, and it has 6 digital inputs, which include USB, coax, optical, AES, IIS, and Bluetooth. And it has 2 analog outputs, which include RCA single-ended and XLR. Both are volume controlled, so you can use this unit as a preamp. This unit uses 2 AKM AK4497 DAC chips, and it accepts signals, input signals of PCM up to 32 bits and 768 kilohertz, or DSD up to 512, and MQA and Bluetooth. And this unit also has 6 digital filters to choose from. Topping claims a signal-to-noise ratio of 124 decibels from the RCA outputs and 127 decibels from the XLR outputs, and crosstalk, which is your channel separation, of at least 120 decibels from the RCA outputs and 142 decibels from the XLR. I believe that's the highest crosstalk numbers I've ever seen. But anyway, that's what they claim. The size of this unit is 10 inches wide by 7 inches deep. Actually, it's just a hair under 10 inches and about 7 inches deep and about 1 7/8 inches tall. And did want to mention that this is literally about 8 times the size of the Topping D70s DAC. It's literally about twice as wide, it's about twice as deep, and it's about twice as tall, which makes it about 8 times the size. I was actually, I reviewed the D70s a while back, and I wasn't expecting this to be so much bigger. And this weighs in at 1.9 kilograms or about 4.2 pounds. It's pretty heavy. It's, feels pretty substantial. Anyway, I did want to, well, I'll get back to that in a minute. This unit comes with a remote control, and it's basically the same remote that comes with the other Topping DACs. And I'll talk about that in a minute, what it does. It comes with a USB cable, it comes with an AC cable to plug it in to your power supply, and it comes with a Bluetooth antenna. So I will give you a closer look here. I'll try to move up a little bit. And as you can see, it has an OLED screen, and unfortunately it won't light up unless it's plugged in, and I don't have any way to do that while I show you. But anyway, here's your power button, and you've got your button, your volume buttons up and down here. Like I said, this can be used as a preamp. And then you've got your input selection button here, and each time you push that, it switches your input and it cycles through the 6 different inputs. Also, I think, yeah, this has got a switch on the side to adjust the power. To use this either in the US at 120 volts, or I guess, I don't know what Europe uses, 230, 240, something like that. Anyway, on the rear, we'll start at this end. You've got your power switch on and off, and then you've got your AC input here where your power cord hooks up, and it does come with that. And then your 6 digital inputs here. You've got your USB, your coax, your Bluetooth antenna, your optical, your I guess it's your called IIS, and it looks like a HDMI plug. So I don't know a whole lot about that. I'll try to find out more before I do my full review with that. And I have seen other components that use that. I just don't have any right now, and so that's not something I'm able to use. And your AES, which is basically a 3-pin XLR plug, but it's digital. You run that, like, you know, for some CD players, for example, are going to have that as an output, and you can run a single 3-pin XLR cable between it and use that for your digital input. And then your outputs here, you have your RCA single-ended outputs and your XLR 3-pin balanced outputs. And I'll give you a little bit closer look at the remote here. And like I said, it's the same that comes with the other Topping DACs, and you can control your volume, your inputs, you can mute it, you can cycle through your different filters, which is really nice to be able to do that from a remote. You can just sit back in your chair while you're listening either to speakers or your headphone, and without having to get up, you can just cycle through your different digital filters. And then you can adjust the brightness of the display. I think it has 3 settings, and what else? Your volume. So and your inputs, did I mention that? So anyway, you can do pretty much everything with the remote, which I do like that. I did want to mention the equipment I used, and my like I said, I've had this a couple weeks and probably put several hours on it already. Have done some listening. Not a lot of comparison to other DACs yet, and I will do that before I put out my full review. But I have listened to it quite a bit, and I'm using a Cambridge Audio 540C CD player as a my digital source. And I've so far I think I'm using the optical input of this with that. And as far as amps, I'm running from the single-ended outputs of this. I'm running to a Burson Conductor 3 reference amp, which only has single-ended inputs. And then from the balanced outputs of this DAC, I'm running to an Audio GD Master 9. And what's nice is you can use both at the same time. You can use both the balanced and single-ended outputs from this at the same time. Of course, they'll both be controlled by the volume. Actually, what you normally do if you're using this as a standalone DAC is you just leave the volume at 0 decibels, and then if you're using it as a preamp, you want to bring it down from there, you know, whatever works out right with your amp. So I'm going to try to get a little bit into the sound of this, not too much, because like I said, I want to do some comparisons to some other DACs before I do, but just based on what I've heard so far, my impressions have been great on this. It's The first thing that really stands out is this DAC sounds crystal clear. It's very, very clean, and it has outstanding detail. The sound stage is large, and it has a lot of layering to it. I can really hear the layers going out in front of me, the distance to the different instruments and different sounds, and also the imaging seems to just be really pinpoint with this. And I'm not sure how much effect a DAC has on imaging. I think that's mostly has to do with your headphones, but I think some DACs, I think it does. I think a good DAC can make the imaging more pinpoint as far as locating each instrument, whether you locate it to just a general area or if you locate it to a small pinpoint area. And the imaging seems to be really pinpoint on this. And the separation between instruments really is exceptional with this. I mean, just no blurring together at all of the sounds. Everything sounds separate and distinct, and you can just pick out one instrument and listen to that and just kind of ignore everything else, because, like I said, they don't blur together. They're each in their own place. So yeah, very impressed with this DAC so far. And what I'm going to do is, over the next few weeks, I'm going to start doing notes and putting together my full review. And basically, what I want to do during that time is I've got 3 other DACs that I want to compare this to. Well, 4 actually. One would be, before I send it back, because I just did the review about a week ago of the iFi Neo IDSD, which is also a very nice DAC. It has a built-in headphone amp, but it's in a pretty close price range. Actually, I think the price went up on that. I think I mentioned this sells for $649, and the Neo IDSD, when I did my first impressions, was selling for $699, and I think it's currently going for $799. So it is a little more expensive than this, but it does have the built-in amp, which this doesn't. Excuse me a second. So anyway, before I send that back, I have compared them a little bit, and I mentioned the comparison in my review of the Neo IDSD. But I want to do a little more thorough comparison before I send that back. Anyway, I also have the Burson Conductor 3 reference, which is a combination headphone amp and DAC. And not only is it an outstanding headphone amp, but it seems to have a really good DAC in it. And that sells for, I believe, $1,750. Excuse me, but it is a combo DAC amp, and I want to compare this DAC to the DAC that is in that, because that can be used as a standalone DAC. So what I'll do is compare the signal from this running into the single-ended outputs of the Burson, and I can switch right back and forth in the menu from one DAC to the other, either the internal DAC or the external DAC coming in through one of the 2 RCA sets of inputs, and it works out really well because I can just switch right back and forth instantly and compare the 2 DACs. And then also I want to compare this to the benchmark DAC 1, which I realize that's about a 12-year-old design, but that has been my reference DAC since I've been doing reviews, and it's kind of outdated. They do have the DAC 2 and the DAC 3 now, but even Benchmark admits that there's very small audible difference between the DAC 1 and the DAC 2, and probably no difference that you can hear between the DAC 2 and the DAC 3. The DAC 3 measures better, but the DAC 2 was probably already beyond the threshold of human hearing. So anyway, it's an older DAC, but I don't think it's obsolete. It still measures up there, very high with some of the top DACs. So anyway, I want to compare the 2 directly to each other, and I'll do that by running them both into separate balanced inputs of my Audio GD Master 9. It has 2 balanced inputs and 3 single-ended inputs. That's why I really like that amp. Really versatile, and you can hook up to 5 pieces of equipment up to it at one time. And then something else I want to do just for kicks is I have the Topping E30 DAC here. And that goes for, I think, $149, maybe lower, maybe $129. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's quite a bit cheaper. It's like a fourth the price of this. But my review of the best components, best headphones, everything of the year, my 2020 awards, I rated it a most bang for the buck, the E30. So I want to compare that to this and see just how much difference there is, what you're gaining by spending 4 times the price. Because the E30, in my opinion, is a really good DAC, and I'm guessing this is better, but I'd want to know just how much better. So I'm going to compare it to that too, and like I said, find out if it's, I'm not expecting it to be 4 times as good, but I am expecting it to be better, and I just want to see how much better. So anyway, my bottom line, and this is just, once again, this is my first impressions, and I will put, before I do a full review on something, I try to put, at least 20-30 hours in it, sometimes more, doing some serious listening, just, sitting down late at night, when I'm not doing anything else, when I'm relaxed, use some nice headphones. And one of my favorite headphones for doing reviews like this is the Kennerton Woden, which is just one of the most detailed headphones I've ever heard, possibly the most detailed. And also I've got the LSA HP Diamond in right now, which is very close to the Woden in a lot of ways, and also extremely detailed. So they both work out great for hearing small differences between DACs and amps and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to spend a couple more weeks with this, try to get a full review out. But in the meantime, my opinion of this is it's probably as good or maybe even better than any DAC I've heard up to this point. It's possibly the best DAC I've heard. So that's what I'm going to try to find out in the next couple weeks. Is this the best DAC I've heard so far? So I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and the Headphone Experience over at Facebook just yesterday hit 12,000 members, so please join us over there. Once again, thanks for watching my video.